guys, Sam from United People's TV, here with something a little bit different that I hope we can continue and do a little bit more of. It's sort of a fans view video. So over on the People's Person Twitter account, links in the description, we asked you guys to send in your opinions on Jose Mourinho. Basically asked, what do you make of these rumours? Do you see Jose Mourinho as the right man to replace Louis van Gaal? If not, why not? And who would you rather have? And these are some of the responses. There was loads, so thank you all for sending them in. And it's interesting to hear your points of view as well, because, Mourinho's definitely going to be a conversation which splits the fans, and you can tell that from the responses. If we start here, we've got Stuart. Thank you for sending this in, Stu. At Uggy7, he said, yes, restores aura, multiple trophy winner in different countries, made for United. Now, if you look at Mourinho's record, obviously he's won titles with Porto, he's won titles with Chelsea, with Inter Milan, and with Real Madrid. So he's done it in 4 countries. He's won the Champions League with 3 separate teams. I'm not even sure if he won it with Real Madrid. I don't think he did. I think they didn't, and then they won it with Ancelotti. But he's a winner. Take this season aside with Chelsea, I'm not sure he's ever finished outside of the top 3 since about 2002. And that was a record that Fergie held. Fergie never finished outside of the top 3 in the Premier League. That obviously went when Moyes came in. But the guy is a winner. Natural born winner. Everywhere he's gone, he's won. Probably his defining season was that treble winning season with Inter Milan. And if you look at any of the players who played under him there, he's basically a demigod to them. Now, from United's perspective, we've always seen Mourinho from the other side of the coin, haven't we? He's always been the enemy. Now that the opportunity is coming up for him to be the friend instead, is that one that we're going to miss out on because of old adversary thoughts? Not sure. Here we've got another one here from at the Mourinho_way. He's obviously got a appropriate Twitter tag already. He's saying Mourinho is a sensational coach, a win at all cost mentality and attention for details that affects his players immensely. His expertise in the transfer market will also be hugely helpful to us. Only man that can go toe-to-toe with Pep. Now, we did an article last night from quotes using Thiago Motta, basically saying exactly that. He's saying that Jose is a winner. He's the man that can help restore United's identity after the 3 years following Fergie's retirement. It's really hard to argue against his mentality as a winning coach. I think the biggest argument against it from a United fans' point of view was always that Mourinho was willing to park the bus and win 38 games, 1-0, boring, to win the title. But after this season with Louis van Gaal, that might seem appealing because Van Gaal has brought that boring style of football, but the results have started to dwindle. Up until about, I think it was November. It was about November. We had that boring football, but the results followed. So the fans couldn't really argue against it. When the results started to go against Louis van Gaal, people were quick to jump on him. Probably because of previous resentment at the fact that United had started playing boring football. But we accepted it because we were winning. When that disappeared, Van Gaal lost his trump card. And if you look at expertise in the transfer market, I think you could potentially argue the other way. If you look at Lukaku, Kevin De Bruyne, Salah as well, there's lots of players from that Chelsea side who left under Mourinho. Mata was his choice, and you can debate whether that was the right decision or not. But Mourinho he's made some good signings, but he's made some bad signings, just like any manager. I think you can pick holes either side of that. So we won't get into that one too much. Another one here from Lewis Charles. Thanks, Lewis. He says, he divides dressing rooms, panders to his super agent, doesn't care about youth, stirs up trouble. No, I prefer Louis van Gaal. As I said, this is going to be a conversation, a debate that splits the fans. It's not going to be all one side. If you look at how he divides dressing rooms, I think this season at Chelsea is a justification for that. Ever since the Eva Carneiro fallout at the start of the season, which was so foolish. I mean, Carneiro had a fantastic relationship with the players, and to kick her out of the club in the manner that he did was sort of stirring the pot straight away, and everything went downhill from there. But on the other hand, if you look at the teams that he's had, I mean, that Chelsea side was a top team. You know, that one that had Terry, Lampard, Makelele, Drogba. They were a unit. They were very hard to beat. And you don't get that mentality just by training. It has to come from the manager down into the players. And as I said, that Inter Milan team of 2010 would run through walls for Mourinho. The fact that Marco Materazzi and Mourinho were crying, embracing each other after Mourinho's last game says it all. They loved him. And I think from our outside perspective, we haven't seen that from our United perspective because we've never looked at Mourinho in that sort of way before. He's always been, you know what, fuck him. He's a Chelsea's manager. Let's not even concentrate on Mourinho. Now that we're looking at it, you can see the strengths and the assets that he did have. Another one here from Johnny Be Good at Saras_44. He said, best coach in the world. He'll bring trophies, that's for sure. That is enough for me after these 3 years. I think that's a key point to consider because it has been 3 years since Fergie. So we've had a year of Moyes, finished in 7th, awful season. Moyes got sacked in April. Then we had Louis van Gaal came in and he steadied the ship. We finished in 4th, back in the Champions League. Started to play some good football, not amazing, but had a strong summer, good signings, started off really well, and then it went downhill. Since December, it's been a slippery slope for Louis van Gaal, and a lot of fans have reached the point of turn. They now can't see anything going forward under Van Gaal, and we're not going to win anything this year unless we win the FA Cup. Could do it, hope we do. That'd be fantastic. Or the Europa League, that's going to be harder. Premier League looks out of touch, and we're now, I think, 5 points off 4th place. We have started to turn it around the last 3 games, but is it too little too late for Louis van Gaal? Whoever comes in now has, yes, it was very hard to replace Fergie, the hardest job in football, but now we've reached a crucial crunch point for United's moving forward. I've said it in previous videos, but we've taken the piss out of Liverpool for how they fell from grace back in the early 90s. If we mess up this next appointment, we could slip into another few years of mediocrity, and it will be very hard to recover from those. So I can understand that point. Sean Ranson said, annoying that by appointing Mourinho, which I support, the club is effectively admitting that we should have gone for him 3 years ago. Now, 3 years ago, I believe he was at Real Madrid still, hadn't gone back to Chelsea. That may or may not have been difficult to do. Obviously, Mourinho has got a strong relationship with Alex Ferguson, so he was one of the people that Fergie told that he was retiring. So if Fergie did want him, he could have got him. But obviously, as we know, Fergie tried to get Pep, but Pep was on his sabbatical out in New York, drinking martinis. I don't know what he was doing. But it never happened. Mourinho then, after that, went to Chelsea, and now we find ourselves in this situation. I think it would have been so hard for fans to accept Mourinho 3 years ago in comparison to how they can accept him now. Because of those underlying frustrations towards Mourinho's got the boring football, X, Y, Z. The grass is greener on the other side. We've seen the grass on the other side. And now we're accepting the concept of Mourinho coming in. I'm not sure it would have worked 3 years ago, Sean. This is from John Bassett at Bertie_B1977. He said, proven and serial winner. We are at the moment a long way off being anywhere near the level needed. He's the man for us. And again, that, as I said, that is a feeling shared by quite a lot of fans, including myself. I've not been hiding behind anything. I've always said Mourinho is the man to take us forward, and I firmly stand by that. Yes, I do think it would have been difficult 3 years ago, and yes, I can see the issues with Mourinho, the fact that he does divide some players, his apparent lack of youth, of love for youth at all. I mean, we're looking at the players that he sold. The Chelsea have they won the FA Cup, Youth Cup last year. They won the UEFA Europa League. They've got a cracking set of young. I mean, and they spanked our under 18s. Was it under 9? Sorry, they knocked us out of the FA Youth Cup this year with a 5-1 win. Convincing. I mean, they're running away with it, their youth teams, but the players aren't really getting into the first team. That's because of Mourinho. Would he change that and adapt to United? I think he'd have to. I think United is the job he's always wanted to do. And when you want something that bad, you change for it. And I think if Mourinho does come into the job, he will change for United as much as United would change for him. Final point here from John at John YN Edwards. He said, I'd be livid getting the job will only inflate his ego, and honestly would rather have Van Gaal for another year and then Giggs as planned. Now, that has immediately caused some serious conversation on our Twitter feed. Make sure you check it out at peoplesperson_. We are United People's TV and People's Person. Not everybody agrees with that. I say not everybody. Pretty much everybody disagrees with it. And I'm going to be in that boat as well. Sorry, John. The concept of getting Giggs in scares me. Even after a year. I think Giggs he needs to go somewhere for a few years, get it under his belt. We've seen with Gary Neville, it's just risky. It's so risky. Yes, you can look at Guardiola and you can look at Zidane, who I think is going to be a success at Real Madrid. But they spent years in the lower levels of their club, managing the B teams, managing the under-21s, getting used to the management. Giggs has sat there on the sidelines and been very, very quiet. I'm sure Giggs does quite a lot in training. We don't see that. And the fans are so important when it comes to any manager. So for us to truly believe in Giggs, we need to see something from Giggs. We haven't seen much from him. And I think Giggs can be a good manager in the future. You know, he's only just gone 40. He's got decades left. Now is not the right time for Giggs, especially for United. I mean, that's it for the fans' view. I think it was a really interesting conversation. Thank you all for your responses. And I'm looking to do this a little bit more often as well. So if you've got any questions you want answered, leave it in the comments and get involved in the comments. That's where all the conversation happens. That's it for the video today. Give us a like, thumbs up, always helps. Subscribe to United People's TV if you're new, and we'll see you soon. Take it easy. He's going to be a Man United player before he did complete his move. They're all saying that Jose Mourinho has told his friends that it's basically a done deal for him to take over as Man United manager.